Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Samurai Goddess. The goddess next door takes on kung fu killers in this action-packed martial arts Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Samurai Goddess in paperback and e-readers today. I've written a lot of books featuring positive black heroines, and I've noticed an interesting pattern whenever I publish any book that features a positive black heroine who has her father in her life. Whenever I would publish any book featuring a positive black heroine which had her father in her life, oftentimes black female readers would get so upset at those stories to the point where they were pretty much yelling back at the book. And the reason why they would get that upset is because I believe many black women have serious daddy issues. Some of them, when they would read stories like Isis or the Thetas or All About Nikki the Fabulous first season, they would get so upset that some would yell at the book or get angry at the book. Others would get jealous of the character in the story, and some would pretty much get angry at the fact that this character's father is even in the story. Now, when I look at the behaviors of some of these black women when they would read these stories, it pretty much, again, was glaring to me how deep the daddy issues are for many African American women. The fact that black women would get upset at a fictional character in a story for having a relationship with her father shows how deeply upset many black girls and many black women are about not having their father in their life. And the fact that some would literally get jealous at a fictional character for having their father in their life or making efforts to be in their life really shows me how deeply dysfunctional many African American women are as it relates to their fathers. And one of the reasons why I go out of my way to publish stories in the SJS Direct imprint that feature fathers is to show people what a healthy relationship between a girl and her father is. Because when it comes down to the father in a girl's life, he has a tremendous impact. And that's something I try to show in books like the ISIS series, in books like the Cassandra Cookbook or A Recipe for Success, books like the Thetas, and even Spellbound. I try to show the impact of a father in a girl's life, because the father is the first man a girl has a relationship with, and if the foundation for her relationship with her father is strong, then she has a model to go approach to when she gets involved with other boys or starts interacting with other men. That foundation pretty much leads to who she gets involved with, and that's one of the things I try to point out in my stories. Unfortunately, some black women have these father issues, and they get upset because they see this character having this interaction with her father, having this relationship with her father, and that makes them uneasy because they didn't have that interaction with their father. They didn't have that relationship with their father, and because they didn't have that relationship with their father, they have issues with any sort of male figure, especially male authority figures, because they didn't ever understand what a male authority figure was, what male authority is, or even how to have a relationship with a man in a healthy way. They only learned dysfunctional relationships with men based on the relationship they had living in a single mother household or interacting with the men in their community who were just as dysfunctional. Now, when I would write these stories, all these issues would really start to come up. And these issues really are something that many black women don't want to deal with, because having to deal with these father issues would mean confronting some very painful things about their own childhood, their own past, and dealing with many of the unresolved issues that pretty much leave them stuck in a state of mental arrested development. And this is something most black women don't want to deal with, but it's something that I try to deal with in my stories because I understand how important the role of the father is. And that was one of the reasons why I wrote the 2002 novel Isis, because I wanted to show how important it was to work on those issues and how to move forward in your life. Because these father issues that black women have are one of the core reasons why so many black women are single and why so many black women struggle to have relationships with men, because they didn't have that relationship with the first man in their life, and they don't want to confront the issues related to having that relationship with that first man. Because that first man wasn't there, they struggle to have relationships with every other man out here, and that's something that we really need to confront, and it's something that needs to be dealt with in the black community. And I try to do it through literature because I understand how deep these daddy issues are and how damaging they are to the black community. Now, when I see people having these responses like this, it clearly shows me how deeply damaging these father issues are that black women have, to the fact that you get to the point where you're so upset at a fictional character for having a relationship with their father. It shows me how sad that you miss your father and how painful it is for you to see somebody else having that close relationship with their father, because in many cases, this is what many black women want, but they're too afraid to admit they want that closeness and they want to have that relationship with that first man in their life. You can pick up many of my books in the SJS Direct imprint which feature fathers, such as Isis, the All About Nikki the Fabulous first season, The Thetas, Spellbound, and A Recipe for Success, at Amazon.com. And if you like these videos, you can pretty much donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box.